This is Harry Murray at Murray's Fly Shop in Edinburgh, Virginia. Let's take a look at the month coming up here in August and what we can expect both in the bass fishing and the trout fishing. A good friend was in just recently that had a 5-pound smallmouth that he had caught on a stonefly nymph dropper, a big size 4. Now this is a bass nymph, a big size 4 bass stonefly dropper underneath the Shenandoah blue popper. Now that does sound a little crazy. However, we've been doing this same ploy for probably over 5 years in our bass schools, in our guide trips, those type situations, because sometimes when you're fishing a big dropper, stonefly, caddisfly, that type thing, under a dropper, you can catch some bigger fish like this friend of mine just did. Now, these are most effective if you're fishing them along an undercut bank. That is a good ploy, or where there are a lot of downfalls. Tree limbs falling in, water, we'll say hip deep down in there, the bass lie down in there, and you're running that dropper down back through that kind of stuff. The bass just really go for that. So consider doing this. More and more people are doing it, and we're getting more good stories because of it. So think about that on the bass. Now, we have just recently recorded a video on our minnow matching thing. I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but our minnow matching video, we talk about the various minnows, the type water they're found in, the patterns that we use to match them, and then the tactics that we use to fish them. So that video, maybe 15 minutes long, is very, very helpful. Then we follow that up with the nymph video. We're covering these big nymphs, the big stoneflies, caddisflies, that type thing, and we're showing where in the river you'd find that, the tactics you would use, and it's very, very helpful. We're actually marking the video where you would stand, where you'd make your cast, and they are effective and they catch fish. Okay, let's leap down to the trout situation. As the streams are getting low, we're losing a lot of the water in the streams. We are also definitely losing the aquatic insects. I'm a sucker for fishing the Murray's flying beetle. It's an interesting story behind this, actually. I stopped in Charlie Fox's house one evening after I was fishing the Letort, and I told Charlie I'd had a pretty good day up on the Letort with the beetle. And he said, well, Harry, I know you like to fish the mountain streams a whole lot. He said, actually, for my own personal fishing, I go for these little beetles up in our mountain streams here in Pennsylvania. And he said, why don't you experiment with some different patterns and see if you can improve the beetles you're using there in Virginia. Well, I got back to Virginia and I was thinking about this, and I did come up with some other patterns. Actually, the Murray's flying beetle was the one I came up with. One of our customers came in who I didn't realize this gentleman was a professional entomologist, Bugman. So he saw me loading my box up with some of these beetles, and he was looking over my shoulders, and he just plain out said, do you know why those beetles you're putting in that box are so effective? And I said, no, Jim, why? He said, we have over 300 different types of beetles. 300 different types of beetles in our mountain streams. He said the trout eat all of them, and you go in there with that flying beetle like that, and you're going to be catching any kind of trout that wants to eat a beetle. So you're giving them what they want. You're showing it where they can see it, and they're going to go for it. So you just keep on using those beetles, and I think you'll be well satisfied. So that's one reason I stay with the Murray's Flying Beetle so much. If you have any questions on these type things, ring us back and I'll be glad to talk to you about them, show you the areas we're fishing, the tactics we're using. I just had a long talk with a boy that is really a very good fisherman. He was in here just a few minutes ago. Hope he's not listening to this. And he was using too big in the mountain streams now. His flies were too big, his leader was too coarse, and that was giving him a hard time. If he gears down to the way I encouraged him to get there, I know he's going to get a lot better fishing. So just stop by and we'll be glad to cover all this with you. Harry Murray at Murray's Fly Shop in Edinburgh, Virginia.